And I've got little Minnie Mouse telling me the time. So, let me begin by telling you about the very first special event in my life. You know, they say you can't really take out anything with you, except I did take one little thing with me. And it goes like this. It was a telegram that I received in 1924. It was December 24th, 1924. Lucille LeSueur, you have been placed under contract MGM Studio. Stop. 6-month option. Stop. $75 a week. Stop. Leave immediately for California. Stop. This little piece of paper changed my life. I'll never forget that. So you ask Lucille LeSueur, who was Lucille LeSueur? Well, I didn't really know myself. When I began life, I was actually Billy Casson. My daddy was Daddy Casson, actually Henry Casson, but I called him Daddy Casson. My mother was Anna, and I had a brother named Hal. Hal was about 5 years older than me, so he didn't really care too much to play with me. And I really didn't care too much to play with anyone. All I wanted to do was dance, just everywhere. All I ever did was dance, leap, jump, everywhere I went. I got into trouble too. I had my legs switched many times when I would disturb things around the house. And one time, I remember this one time, Hal was running through the nasturtiums and messed them all up. And then my mother, of course, thought it was I who had done it. And she switched my legs, she put me in a corner, and I said, Hal, why don't you say something? Never said anything. Well, that's the way it was. Also another time, I leaped off the porch right onto a broken milk bottle. That hurt. I split my foot open. And a really dear boy from across the street came over and he helped me. He carried me into the house, put a tourniquet on my leg. They called the doctor, and through the ether I heard the doctor saying, I don't know if she'll ever walk again. And I thought, well, I was just a child then. I was only 6 years old. I thought, do you have to walk to be able to dance? Well, that's how it is when you're a little girl. And I remember the boy who helped me. His name was Don Blanding. I met Don Blanding again later on. He had become a poet, and he had become a journalist. I met him on the set of The Gorgeous Hussy. And I said, Don, don't you remember me? I'm Billy Casson. He said, oh, the little girl that broke her foot open. Of course I remember you. He wrote a poem about me later on. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, and these, by the way, are my autobiographies. This is one, and this is another one, My Way of Life. Let me find and read to you what he wrote. She was just the little girl that lived across the street. All legs and curls and great big eyes and restless dancing feet. As vivid as a hummingbird, as bright and swift and gay, a child who played at make-believe. That's what I did. I played at make-believe. I wanted so much to be a dancer, a famous dancer like Miss Tanguette. My mother wanted me to go to school. I went to school. But when Daddy Casson got in trouble. And when I think back, I feel terrible about it. I was just a little girl, and I didn't know. I went into the cellar, and I put my hand through a crack. There was a bag there. I pulled it out, and out came a whole bunch of yellow coins. To me, they were yellow coins. They were gold coins. But I thought they were so pretty, so I brought them over to my mother, and she just went blank. I knew something was going on. She sent me and Hal off to my aunt's. There was trouble in the house after that. So we had to leave the place where we were living, Lawton, Oklahoma. That's where I was. We moved to Kansas City. Kansas City was all right, I suppose, but I didn't like the school I went to. We couldn't really afford the school, so I had to work. I suppose that taught me how to work later on. But I had to scrub the floors and wait on tables and mop the floors. I really didn't have any time to work at school. So then when I went to college, and I did go to college, Stevens College, for 2 months. 2 months, because again, I was working, I didn't have any time for any classes, and the president of the college called me in. He asked me what was going on. I told him that I had to go home. I just couldn't take it there. His name was James Wood. I'll always remember that man. I called him Daddy Wood later on. He always stayed in correspondence with me. He said, "Joan, all right, I'll call your mother and you can leave college. But remember, Joan, whenever you start a job, never quit it. Keep going at it until you're finished. And if you do a job and you know how to do it well, then leave it. Because that job will shrink you down to its size." These are things I've always remembered in my life. So I went back home, which was all right, because I started working as a chorus girl. Just in the back line of the chorus girl. It wasn't any great thing. Still, I loved it. And one time, and I have to say, I thank Niels Granlund for it. He was the chorus girl's best friend, and he was the promoter of the show. He asked Harry Rapp to come and watch the show. Harry Rapp came, and he looked at the line and he said, "Third from the left, back row." I didn't know what that meant. What it meant was he wanted me to do a screen test. All right, I did the screen test. Full face, right profile, left profile, act sad, act mad. I did it. I didn't really know what it was about. But a couple of days later, they called me back in. They wanted me to see Harry Rapp. This time, Niels Granlund, and we called him Granny Granlund, had to practically drag me in. I did not want to go. They asked me, "Would you like to be an actress?" I said, "No, I want to be a dancer." I didn't want to be an actress. And they said, "All right." 2 days later, I got that telegram. My mother had never wanted me to be in show business. But when she saw that $75 a week, she changed her mind. It was so much better than I was doing working as a chorus girl or a shop girl some of the time. So, on December 26th, I took the train and I went from Kansas City all the way to California. I arrived in California January 1st, 1925. I got off the train. I was waiting for someone to meet me at the station. I suppose it might have been Harry Rapp. I looked around, no one. I kept walking all over the place, no one. I started getting very, very sad. And all of a sudden I heard someone whistling a song that I knew. And I looked over and it was a boy, about my age. I was about 19 then. And he came over to me. He asked me what I was so sad for. I told him my story and he said, "Girl, I'm looking for you." Well, it turns out he was from MGM Studios and he was looking for me. He had a limousine outside. We took the limousine and went to the Washington Hotel in Culver City where I left my bags. Then off it was to the studio. I remember when I walked out into that studio for the first time. All those people in costumes. I really didn't know what to think. I felt so small. I felt so inadequate. I really was inadequate. I didn't know anything about acting. All I knew was that I was there. I had a 6-month option. I didn't know if I'd even last. I wanted it to last. So they took me again to do a screen test. Again, walked towards the camera. Right profile, left profile, then act sad, act mad, wistful, questioning, and coy. I did it all. I don't know how well I did. Well, they told me it was okay. And nothing after that. Then they just let me loose and I just basically wandered around the studio. I soon found out they didn't hire me to be an actress, to be a star. They wanted me to be background, to be something pretty in movies. So I went around studying everyone, and I wanted to meet everyone. I did get to meet William Haynes, who became one of my dearest friends. William Haynes, he was funny. I was in a couple of movies with William Haynes. I thought that maybe he could be my boyfriend. After all, I found out that to be someone in the studio, you had to have a boyfriend who could do things for you, like Norma Shearer. She was friends, well, more than friends, with the boss. With Irving Thalberg. She slept with the boss. And that's what I told Louis B. Mayer. I said, how can I possibly get any roles if Norma is sleeping with the boss? And then there was Marion Davies. She had her William Randolph Hearst. Who did I have? I had no one. So I liked William Haynes, but he said, no, dear, I can't be your boyfriend. I'm gay. Well, that's that. But he was still my friend anyway. So, at the studio, to give us promotion. They decided to take us, all 18 of us, out on certain trips, like to USC, to run around the track. That was just an excuse to put shorts on us. And then they'd take us to Santa Monica Beach and have us kick a ball around. That was an excuse to put us in bathing suits. These were called action shots. And I was very good at them too, because I was a dancer, so I could leap and jump higher than any of the rest of them. So I did pretty well at that. But still, that wasn't really getting me anywhere. The first thing I ever did was a double for Norma Shearer in the movie Lady of the Night. And really all you could see was just the back of my head, because Norma was actually playing two parts in it. She was playing the nice girl and the tough girl. So whenever she was the nice girl, I was the tough girl, the back of my head and my shoulders. Whenever she was the tough girl, I was the nice girl from the back of my head. Not much, was it?